What if Islam never existed? Oh boy. So there will obviously be a lot of places that remain unchanged. For example, Protestantism is still big here in Germany, the Nordics, the UK. The Irish are still divided. And then Orthodox still dominates Greece as well as parts of modern day Russia. But this is where the big changes begin. We actually have a Roman Catholic North Africa still, which going back to the Roman Empire maps, I think that's fair to say. I think everything in the Mediterranean would more than likely be some sort of Christian. I mean, Christianity in the 5th century was stretching pretty far into Africa. I mean, that's part of the reason why Ethiopia is actually the second oldest Christian nation. Nobody believes me when I say that fact. Armenia, though, is number 1. So we have a couple of different denominations in modern day Egypt. We have Coptic Christianity and then Ethiopian Orthodoxy down here. There's also Berber religions deeper into the Sahara Desert. So this doesn't stretch too far in. I'm now just wondering, what is the date on this map? Seeing that Ireland is divided did make me think it's a modern day map, but there's just kind of Berber religions going on in the Sahara here in 2025. I feel like Roman Catholicism would probably have spread everywhere. But then again, we have Arab polytheism in this peninsula. That's a weird thing to say out loud. Not used to that. Syriac Christianity, did I say that word right? Of course, Armenia would still be the same. Zoroastrianism, they're still celebrating that here in Persia. And then Hinduism as well, still here with these borders. Forgetting about Europe for a second, yeah, what happens to South Asia? Did they no longer split between Pakistan and India? Does all the British Raj just remain just a giant country all under Hinduism? There's also Tengrism inside of, I'm definitely mispronouncing that, inside of Central Asia. I gotta be honest, I feel like this universe doesn't explore enough of what this world would be like without Islam. I feel like the schism between Christianity would be even bigger, even larger. Maybe there'd be a lot more infighting. As humans, we just love looking at the town down the street from us and being like, those are the bad guys. We'll make an enemy out of anyone. I wonder if Arabic polytheism would be strong enough to resist Christianity. Christianity, also like Islam, also had the tendency to taking over weaker, less... that's what I was wondering. With all these faiths down here, including Berber, I mean, does this really last until 2025 in this universe? Because I don't really know. They're literally all surrounded. Missed opportunity for bigger Zoroastrianism, in my opinion. It's an Axel age religion like Christianity and Islam and could have had the opportunity to spread further if it weren't for the way of the caliphate. Yeah, I think something would have popped up, or there would be some sort of effect that takes place, someone that would maybe fill that power vacuum. Judaism would be much stronger. Also, there'd be many Jews in Yemen before the rise of Islam. This is such an interesting old history. I've seen it covered many times before. You can go in so many different ways. It honestly feels like there's endless possibilities. So what if the small nation of Haiti became the new Singapore of America, with not only a rapid transit system, but the highest life expectancy, a very powerful passport, and unemployment that's only at 1.8%? Wonder what Haiti's current unemployment rate is at. My goodness. Okay, it is currently at like 15% right now. But in this universe, they've got all sorts of new tourist attractions. Another way to describe this place would be the French-speaking Singapore. Of course, they held the Haitian Grand Prix. Do they actually have 4 mottos? Okay, no, I was gonna say they have 2, one in French, another one in Haitian Creole. But in this universe, I guess to be even more economically viable, they have an English and Spanish motto, and also English and Spanish versions of their anthem. Their demographic breakdown looks something like this. Overall, a very Christian nation as well. Yeah, remember Haiti was actually the second nation on Earth to become independent just after the USA. I feel like in this universe where Haiti's just absolutely dominating, they'd probably just straight up buy the Dominican Republic. Why not unite the island of Hispaniola? So I think to properly analyze this situation, we need to look at what makes Singapore so wealthy, and a lot of that comes down to shipping lanes. It's like a giant worldwide freeway that passes by their coastline every day. Whether it's trade from Europe, Africa, or India going to China, Japan, or Korea, or vice versa. I mean, that's just a lot of money flowing on through. I know it's easy to say this in retrospect, but you would think Malaysia would have been smarter than just to kick Singapore out of their nation back in the day. Like, why would you kick them out? Obviously, that worked out a lot better for the Singaporeans than the Malaysians. They're not doing bad either, though. But anyways, the problem here for Haiti is I don't really see how they would become just magically this Singapore. And they're kind of smack dab in the middle of the Caribbean. There's no reason why traffic would flow off their coastline. In order to make Haiti Singapore, like, there would need to be some giant asteroid that landed in the Gulf of Mexico that just like completely wiped out the water from there, just there. Something like this would be forced to happen to give them the geography advantage. Gotta make sure we color that in. Yeah, there's nothing over here. Then maybe there would be enough traffic going in between Cuba and Haiti Haiti, you'd also probably have to buff out Brazil quite a bit to make sure. See, I don't know why they would do this. There's still all this space. What wouldn't send traffic to go just through Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic? Like, there are routes around Singapore, but this is the most efficient way to go for these ships. And of course, there's other things that make Singapore very successful, very wealthy. On a quiet night in August 1958, the president of Haiti woke up from a dream, a vision of a world, a nightmare. Oh man, I'm really liking this story right here. The Western Hemisphere's Dubai. We need more optimistic maps like this. What if the Kingdom of Italy— what the f is this? Ew, what did you do to Italy? This is supposed to be what if the Kingdom of Italy survived till 2025. I don't know what the hell this little noodle is though. Actually, I do. This is the Baja California Peninsula slapped in the middle of the Mediterranean. They kept the island of Sicily as well as Sardinia and Corsica. Also, the cities inside of the Baja Peninsula have been named to their, well, Italian names. Is this San Marino or where'd you— oh, San Marino's right here. Northern Italy is going to remain the same as well as like this stuff off of Croatia. Funny enough, like the Italian peninsula though, I think the Baja Peninsula as well is pretty mountainous here. You can see as the mountains start off very high in the north and then stretch all the way down this landmass, which is actually weirdly very similar to the way Italy does it. They too have mountainous terrain that stretches from the north all the way into the south. I'm guessing that's what gave this person the inspiration to create this monstrosity. I'm still very disturbed though. Honestly, I have to think Italy in this universe would be a whole lot weaker. They just don't have as much land area. Not that land is everything. I mean, maybe they'd still be able to be very historically significant. They probably did like a lot of the things that they did historically, but there's just so much less to work with. Unless like maybe their what's it called? Their exclusive economic zone. Unless maybe that just has a ton more resources out there for them to mine and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It is making me hungry for a nice combination of Italian and Mexican food though. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on it. Pissfart, that is a name of a city on this map. All right, they got me. That is not in fact a city. I actually— oh man, I just got trolled. I don't know. There's been some crazy city names out there. Wait a minute. Who are you? I think that's the wrong peninsula. Italy, but I chopped its boot off and now it has a peg leg. Hey, that's the Mexico peninsula. Why do people keep saying this? This is the Italian peninsula located in Italy. Yes, how did I miss that? Talk about horrifying. What if it was the Chinese that actually formed the USSR, or the Union of Socialist Soviet Republics? So this is a communism that actually comes to power in China way earlier. We also have kind of the reverse happening. Mao is now promoting Leon Trotsky to, well, take over Russia and spread world revolution. So remember, the USSR was a union of republics, essentially. I think people forget that fact. Just like the United States, where you're states that are united, this was a union of republics. Russia was here, yes, and they were the biggest, but people think the USSR and Russia are like synonymous. Not technically. You know, you had places like Belarus, Ukraine, all of Central Asia, the Caucasus Mountain region. All these regions had their own flags, their own, like, you know, the SSR, Belarus, or otherwise known as BSSR. So yeah, they're flagged, which looks very similar to the one they have today. So I don't see why China couldn't technically do the same exact thing. I mean, we definitely have to do some crazy mental gymnastics to be able to get to something like this, but I could see it, specifically with Southeast Asia, especially because a lot of these nations did end up becoming communist. Also, you have North Korea right here, which is communist. You just gotta kick out the South. And if the Chinese were the ones to spread to Siberia first before the Russians got here, then yeah, it makes sense. And then they're the ones that make it to Central Asia first too as well. I don't think this is like that insane. Now I want to see this world's version of the Warsaw Pact. Oh, what happened to India? Honestly, in this world, they might have like a Japanese communist puppet in their hands. They also might have Warsaw Pact members that are— I should probably rename it to not the Warsaw Pact. It's more like the, well, maybe it is called the Tokyo Pact. Maybe Singapore's in there, Malaysia, Indonesia. This is just talking about the country, the USSR. Again, it doesn't extend to the communist world of this universe. Population 1.7 billion. I wonder if there's still like a Sino-Soviet split. Active military 3.5 million. They've essentially just reformed a communist Mongolian empire. That's what I'm now just realizing. They haven't stretched quite as far as like the actual Mongols, but they're getting there. The Soviet-led Hanoi Pact spreads its influence far across the world from Africa to Latin America. In this world, the USSR does still exist as the world's largest economy and military power. However, tensions are rising in the world once again over the Kaliningrad question. The Republic of Russia, backed by the West, continues to be a thorn for the Russian People's Republic. Oh, basically Kaliningrad is this world's new Taiwan. They say they're Russia, but they're not. They're not communist. Awesome map. What's the relationship with Japan and the European part of Russia? Thanks. Relationship with Japan. Japan is occupied by the United States. Relations with European Russia. Russia's military weaker, perhaps, than our world. I feel like Russia and China would really not like each other in this universe. Yeah, this is just China going back to their old days of these massive dynasties. Gotta make sure that Yellow River doesn't flood or change courses. Yeah, they probably wouldn't use the word Soviet, but I get it. It's just for fun. This is what I was wondering. Interestingly, I think it would be more stable than the real USSR, except for the Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia part, which would be equivalent to the Baltics. Literally trying to think to myself that same exact thing. Does this look like a more stable USSR? I mean, I think geographically speaking, they'd be sitting pretty comfortably. Remember, the USSR is always, and also Russia, is always very paranoid of this region. I mean, look at the countless times they've been invaded. It's just like huge, vast, flat land. It's very easy to step foot and just attack. That kind of plays into their paranoia, why they're so heavily into defense. I'm sure this Chinese USSR would be heavy into defense, but they probably wouldn't be as paranoid because there's so much more natural barriers. I mean, the freaking giant Himalayan mountains right here. Lots of things to think about. What if the United States had Canada's electoral system? I gotta admit, automatically just seeing more colors than just blue and red, I feel like we finally have like a big boy political system. I don't know what it is, I just see 2 colors and I feel like they gotta dumb it down for us so much. Meanwhile, I see all these other countries with multi-party systems with all these colors on their election map and it's like, oh yeah, that just looks a lot more serious. Like, I don't know. Is it just me? Yeah. It's interesting, though, because I feel like multi-party systems like this, they do have obviously their pros, but they also have cons. There's pros and cons to both systems. But to be specific here, we're looking at the Canadian system. So we are looking still at a lot of blue and red. Remember, though, in Canada, the red party are the Liberals with 217 seats, and the blue is actually Conservative. So it's a little switched. Of course, not everyone uses the same color system. I think the UK also has their Liberal Party as the red. Actually, I think a lot of other countries use red as their Liberal Party. Bit more socialist vibes. I think a lot of people talk about that. Then there's also this Heritage Bloc, which is a light blue. They've got 24 seats. Not 100%, but will the Heritage Bloc be more willing to work with the Liberals or Conservatives? And finally, the Green Party, which is not a very powerful party in Canada. It's not generally a super powerful party in a lot of other political systems around the world, but it's really bad here. I will say this Green Party is even more powerful than our Green Party in the US. I mean, they don't even win a single place. They'd never win. They get like 1% of the vote. At least these people actually got a seat. They got a whole 1 seat. So in this universe, if we use the Canadian political system in the US, there wouldn't be a majority, but the Liberals would be very close. Oh, I forgot to mention the New Democratic Party. They've got 9 seats. That party is mostly, well, I see 1 in New England. There's a pocket here in Detroit, a pocket here in Chicago. Why in Alaska seem to really like that party. Again, my sentiments in the very beginning, even though a lot of this map is still just blue and red, there's different shades of blue and red, but there's also some orange, some green. Again, I just feel like a big boy. I can understand complicated information. Not all Americans are this. Oh, I need my blue and red and too many colors. It's too many colors. So this is actually the 2025 Canadian federal election map that, well, that other US map that's kind of basing it off of. So that Heritage Bloc is basically supposed to represent the people in Quebec here, the French speakers. But as you can see, the seats still match the Green Party with 1 seat, the New Democrats with 7. Well, they don't match, but they match proportionate to the situation that took place. Mark Carney, the new prime minister, he doesn't have a majority, but he's gonna be set. Alberta voted entirely for the Conservative Party. I guess that's why there's so much news about how Alberta's gonna now join the US. But I do like that the Green Party was out here in the West Coast in Victoria, just like it was in the US map. Well, the Greens had 2 people running. Yeah, Mark Carney absolutely dominated. That was crazy. What a win. Why exactly is the Deep South voting for the Heritage Bloc? Are they meant to be more of a Deep South party for those who feel underrepresented, i.e. are they filling the role of, say, a populist candidate? Heritage Bloc is a parallel of Bloc, French word, a party whose goal is to have represent Quebec. I guess this is another way to break it down in terms of US politicians, if you follow that sort of thing. I think a green candidate would be more likely in the Pacific Northwest or Hawaii. They made this block lame. Yeah, the color switch is definitely throwing a lot of people off. Big ol' thanks to my patrons over at Patreon. Come out here calling bro a history expert. Tambre, Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, NordTyrol, Nolan, Miglu the Goat, LuxembourgLover, KirinoIsBestGirl, KingBearHaze, Fredrik Tibblin, DOOCHBAGGINS, Pavlik, Carmel Saida, AlexandertheTerrible. If you'd like your name here, check out that link in the description down below to patreon.com.